Hey folks, Pallet here, back with another Minecraft video. If this is your first time here on my channel, welcome in. If you've seen some of my videos before, welcome back. And to all of you, I'm glad you're here. Now, I had actually wanted to get this video out a couple of weeks ago, but unfortunately I got hit with a bug that's been going around. Started off as a bit of a head cold and moved down into a chest cold to the point where I pretty much had lost my voice for a couple of days. So I had to put off filming until I stood a decent chance of actually being able to get through this without completely croaking all the way through it. Now, if you saw my most recent video, we did kind of an overview of all of the building projects that we've had going on in our world over the last year. And I noticed a couple of things as I was filming that. And one of those is that I'm starting to run out of space here in this village. And just to give a quick overview, off to the north is where my son has built some of his base. Off to the kind of the northwest is where my daughters have been building. And then directly off to the west is where my wife has been building. And just to be, kind of good neighbors, I don't want to encroach too closely on them. And it doesn't help that we've got a couple of large plateaus just right up against the edge of my village here. Now, off to the east, there is a fair bit of room. We're still kind of hemmed in by ridges to either side. There's a fair bit of room. But I kind of painted myself into a corner here because with the large wizard tower build and the hedge maze, as well as our alchemist house and kind of the little hedge witch's place over here, I had uh, I kind of wanted those to be on the outskirts of the village. And if I want to expand off into the east any further, I'd have to relocate these, and that's just not something I'm terribly interested in doing. It took a while to get all of that built, and I don't want to have to tear it down and rebuild it further east. And I just don't want these to get swallowed up in the main part of the village itself. Now, off to the south, there's a little bit of space over here, but we run into something similar where I've got our clock tower, our town hall, we've got our inn and tavern, and we've got the city gate or the village gate. And I really don't, again, I don't want to have to take all of that down just to push the village out a little bit further to the south. And on top of that, going off to the south, if we can get a good look here, would require some creative building or a lot of terraforming just to kind of smooth this out a bit and to deal with the river that runs through this cut here. So that's not to say that I don't have plenty that I can still do within the village itself. Notice I've still got a lot of work to do on the wall. I've got some work that I want to do on the bridge here. I've got a couple of spaces that I've still got marked out for some buildings, and I actually have some subterranean stuff that I want to do. I want to do some work underground under the wizard tower, and also over in this direction where I'm hoping to build a mine. And so there's still work to do, but overall, I'm just running out of space to expand here. And I had a lot of ideas that I still wanted to play around with that just weren't going to work in this location. Now, one of the things that I could do, and one of the things that kind of popped up to my attention as we were filming our last video, is that I still have space over here next to our prison for one more jail cell. And you can see it right there. So let's take a quick look, and I will show you how we're going to fill that last jail cell space. Here we go. Let's see if we can convince one of these guys to come back with us. Guess I didn't make that roof quite tall enough. Let's hope that the rest of this path cooperates. So I spent a little bit of time having to raise height of this tunnel. Didn't take too long because, of course, netherrack is relatively fast to mine through. But I knew that I would need a tunnel at least 3 blocks high in order to get a wither skeleton through it. So there were a few spots where the existing roof was the only block up there between the top of the tunnel and the roof of the nether, basically, or what practically was the roof of the nether. He's getting distracted. There we go. Wonder what gets him distracted like that, if it's the fact that I'm just not on the same Y level, so he starts looking around for a new target. Now, getting him through this tunnel is hopefully going to be pretty straightforward. It's getting him where I need him when we get to the village. Similar to when I brought over the Ravager, I have made a bridge through the sky that hopefully he can just follow me right along and I'll drop him in his cage. But I have not tested this. This is my first attempt to bring him back, and so if things go wrong, well, you'll see it when I see it. Fortunately, this tunnel is just one long straight shot for a good distance here. Come up to this corner. He almost got me. Run! Run! There we go. And, of course, one of the things I learned with the Ravager was the importance of stairs. Oh, he didn't go through. This may not... This may require a little bit more planning. Decided not to go through the portal there for some reason. Ah, I think he went through that time. Okay, so now have to get through there and see if I can keep him from attacking any villagers while we trap him. And he got a hit in. Alright, I think we may have this. As long as I don't fall off. Come on, guy. You can follow me. Yeah. Just like that. Even though I've got Swift Sneak, I'm afraid that he may be able to move just a little faster than I could if I were crouching. Now, we're almost there. And of course, this path is narrow enough. I think if he hits me, he might knock me off. I do have my Elytra on. It could just be a little bit of a pain to get back up here in a good spot to lead him on. Okay, we're almost there. Come on. We can do it. You can do it. You can follow me. And there. And he is in. And now, we name tag him. Ah. Well, we try to name tag him. Maybe what I need to do... Bust that out. And there we go. Our buddy Clyde is now a resident of the jail. Oh well, that was a little bit tense, just making sure that he would follow me the whole way without getting too close. But overall, I'm glad it was not as exciting as it could have been. So now here we have it. We've got not just our main prison, but we've got our 4 external jail cells, one with a Ravager, one with some drowned, one with a witch, and our final resident, a Wither Skeleton. Now, I did modify a couple of these a little bit, just to make it a little less likely that I or anybody else would fall in, and instead of having open roofs now, we've got closed roofs here, just to make it a little bit safer. Anytime I kind of flew in over the witch, she would get a little displeased with me, threaten to start throwing things at me. You know how witches can be. But we've got a couple of nice little roofs here. We've got them all enclosed. And I think that actually adds a nice little bit to our menagerie of aggressive mobs that we've got here. So the next thing that I had kind of had in mind to work on, we're going to fly over here a little ways. We've got this river that runs up kind of through our compound, through our village here. We've got a little section of it here walled in that I will be building a dock at some point, just a small one here for the use of the manor house. And we've got the bridge that I still need to finish texturing. We do have some road out here to finish. But one of the things that I'd had in mind for a while is that I want to start a large ocean dock over here. And not just a, a place for ships to tie up to, but a whole dock complex. Maybe some buildings over here, places for larger and smaller ships to tie up if they need to. And of course, we've got a small canal that cuts through right over here to reach back into this river. So we could have some of the smaller craft. In one of my previous videos, I had shown a couple of ferry designs I had come up with. We'll have some space for them to kind of ply their trade along the river here and come up and haul in shipments that are brought in by the larger cargo ships. But that brought up the question, if I'm going to have a dock here, if I'm going to build up some sort of little industrial section here, who are they going to trade with? Where are those ships going to come from? So I spent a little bit of time exploring, and the nice thing about Elytra is that it really cuts down on travel time. If I wanted to, take a little boat across here, I could do it. It would definitely take a little longer. And so we're going to go the easy way at the moment and use the Elytra. We've got a little bit of lag here on the server that's causing things to hesitate a bit. We see this rocky spire, and that means we're getting close to my most recent build project. This is the lighthouse that kind of overlooks the harbor of a new city that I'm planning. And we're getting here right at sunset, and it sounds like there may be a drowned throwing tridents at me. So we're actually going to get up here. Now, I have not completed all of the landscaping that I want to do here, and we will get a better look at this. I'll fly around in the daylight and give you a sense of what this island looks like from above. This is another one of those building projects where I didn't follow a tutorial. What I did was I went out to one of the AI generators, the AI image generators, specifically the one that Microsoft offers through Bing, and got some ideas. I had it generate a few different styles of lighthouse, and then I combined what I liked from a couple of the different models that it provided, and kind of figured it out the rest of the way. So now that it's daytime, let's come out here, and you're going to see a few other things I'm working on here, and we'll get to those, but I want to start with the lighthouse. So what we have is a large platform that has been built up from the hopefully still somewhat natural island here, this stone and grassy island, to provide a foundation for the lighthouse. And the lighthouse is made with pretty much local materials, things that I was able to harvest around on in this area. I didn't want to have to go very far to bring things in. And all of these buildings are kind of the same, trying to use as many local materials as I can. So We've got a mix of stone, diorite, some calcite, and then some spruce wood, and a few other little odds and ends here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to take a look in here, show you the basic structure of the building. Of course, I tried to make it as round as possible. You know, round in Minecraft is, well, we do our best when we try to make round things. I think it came out pretty well. Of course, um, uh, the interior here, I've squared off just to make the room a little better defined. And of course, put in a nice little granite and diorite patterned floor. But one of the things that I'm really happy with is this idea to leave kind of an atrium in each of the floors. Because when we come down here and look straight up, I just think that is one of the coolest views that I have managed to create on my own. We get the effect of the spiral stairs, we get the effects of the lights and the chains that are hanging down from almost the very top of this lighthouse. And I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. The first time I looked up there, I just knew that was one of the things that this build needed that I hadn't really considered when I started. It was just almost a happy accident. So I do have a bed down here. I haven't decided exactly what I want to do with this floor down here with this room. I may just leave it as kind of an open room, an open lobby when you come into the building. We do have a bed here at the moment just because it's a convenient spot for me to sleep. A little bit of storage along the wall and some bookcases. We'll go up to the next floor, and this is where we start getting into the diorite and calcite mixture. We see we have spiral staircase that leads all the way up with some occasional windows. Now, there is no guardrail around the stairs, so if you fall, you just have to hope that you have feather falling on your boots, or you've got an elytra, or that you set your spawn point at that bed down there so you can just respawn and pick up anything you dropped. So we get up here. Just going to crouch and make sure that I don't accidentally jump down. And we're at the top of kind of the main section of the tower here. It's, you know, just a couple of turns of the spiral staircase to get up. And we do have, I set up a small bed up here for the lighthouse keeper, you know. The guy who's up here at night during the storms, he sometimes needs a place to rest. We do have a little trapdoor here at the top of the ladder. And this is our kind of storage and workroom for replacement lights for the very top of the lighthouse, and just a little bit of storage, a work table, that sort of thing. We can come out here, and it's not really a viewing deck. It's not an easy place to see much of the surrounding, but it does provide a little bit of just kind of a fresh air feel to this part of the tower. But we're not done yet. We do have another ladder here that leads up with another trapdoor. And this is where we have the main beacon of the lighthouse itself. And this is made of frog lights. It's one of the things I had to import. I grabbed that from my frog light farm that I have set up in the Nether. You may recall that from a previous video. And a little bit more diorite and some stone to cap it off. And we will step outside. One of the nice things about having elytra is that I can make it down fairly. I took a little bit of damage there, but we can make it down a little faster than we made it up. And you may have noticed when we were flying around earlier Excuse me a moment while the lag slows things down. I think I'm going to have to restart the server soon. We've got just a nice little decorative flagpole up here with some copper and a lightning rod on the very top, and our flag blowing in the wind. Now to complete this little island, and I do have a little bit of landscaping I still want to do. I want to make a bit of an integrated walkway up these little terraces here. What I've got right now are some leaf blocks and dirt blocks and whatever I had in hand that would make it easy enough for me to go back and forth as I was working. I do have a spare chest of building materials that I need to get out of here. So yeah, there's still a little bit of work here. But we're going to look next at the lighthouse dock. So this is not, of course, going to be a very big dock. This is not the dock where the big ships tie up. This is the dock where the lighthouse workers can come, where they can get supplies. When they need to head back to town, they can do that. And so I've got a little bit of a kind of a dockmaster's hut here. Again, I've got some more interior work that I would like to do. Decorate it a bit, but we do have a small bedroom, a little bare bones bedroom with a little bit of storage here and a storage room there. And on top, we've got just kind of a nice little lookout point. And I have some ideas of some decoration I can do up here, some things I can do with some armor stands that I just haven't had a chance to get around to yet. There's, if you've played much in Minecraft, you know that there's always something else you can do. And I had put this video off long enough while I tried to recover from that cold that I wanted to get this out, even if I didn't have all of the details in yet exactly how I wanted them. But from here you can see the lighthouse, you can see our other building on the island, and we can see over to the start of our city. Now, this building, I do have it with a cobblestone and a brick foundation. I don't have anything inside that foundation yet. My thought was that this building probably needs to be up a little bit above the water level. Protects it from storms or floods, that sort of thing. And so this is really just kind of a foundation that I wanted to have here to make sure that the dockmaster's house always stays nice and dry. Now we're going to hop up here back to the foundation of the lighthouse, which I really do like how this turned out. This is very obviously a constructed bit here that was added on, to help the lighthouse stand a bit taller. And it definitely stands out from the more natural looking stone here. But that was kind of the idea. I wanted this to be one of those, not quite on the level of a wonder of the world, but it was one of those big engineering projects that the city took on. And they wanted to make sure everybody knew that this is the place for people to come and to gather and for ships to arrive and that sort of thing. So to accommodate the contours of the terraces, we had to add a little bit of a bridge here to get over to this house. And I like to think of this as maybe more like the lighthouse keeper's home, or when he's off duty, when he doesn't have to be actually up in the tower itself. This is where he can come in. We get a nice view of the sunset. We get a good view of the ocean and maybe any incoming ships. Our little rocky spire that's out here. Of course, we've got, a little bit of a kitchen here with some storage. We've got a small bedroom in here. And, a very small, let's call it a cozy bedroom. A little bit of storage under the stairs, as well as the crafting table. We come up here, we've got a few bookcases out on the landing. And then this is the master bedroom. So I did get a little bit of decorating done in here. Got some bookcases in the corner with some counters, nice double bed with a painting over it. Again, a western-facing window to take advantage of the sunset. Some extra storage up top, and a painting above the door. And then we've got this storage space that's kind of under the main living area of the bedroom. And that is our lighthouse island. Oh, you know what? There is one other thing. Sorry about that. I bumped the mic. There is one other thing that I should show you here that we didn't really get a look at. Because while I've got this large foundation for the lighthouse, I also wanted a way for anybody who's living on the island to be able to get back and forth between the sides a little bit easier than going all the way around. So we've got a small tunnel dug out through this. And we've got a space here that I could maybe plant a garden, keep some animals in a pen. We actually do have a few, I don't know if you've seen them, we've got a few turtles that are living here, keeping us company on our island. But yeah, I've got a little bit of space over here where we can add on just to make it look a little more like a place where some people are living. And when we do that, we may put again, a little bit of a bridge right here just to make it a little easier to get around. And of course up here we've got more of the frog lights to provide our lighting around the base. And yeah, that is the Lighthouse Island. And I am very proud to say that none of this was done by tutorial. The buildings were kind of my own experiments and creations. The lighthouse itself, again, was using a couple of different pieces of AI artwork as inspiration and then just figuring it out as I went. And I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. So we're going to jump over here to the mainland now, and we're going to look at what else I've been working on. So these are the docks, and these are not the biggest docks in the world, but compared to what we've got over at the village, this is taking up quite a bit of real estate. So we do have the larger stone piers that jut out into the harbor here, as well as a couple of lower wooden docks. I figured that would be the best way to accommodate a variety of ships coming in. It'll give me some flexibility when I build some ships out here in the water eventually. And you may have noticed this. This is a work in progress. Don't judge me too harshly yet. This is still kind of in the roughing it in, very square, blocky stage. My plan here is that this is going to be a ship that was run aground right next to the dock and has been turned into a tavern or an inn. And overall, I'm happy with the progress I'm seeing in it, but remember, this is a very, very rough draft of what it's going to look like when I'm done. That is another one that I am kind of taking some inspiration from AI-generated art. I know that there are some concerns, of course, on the behalf of a lot of creators, a lot of artists, with what direction AI art is going. For me, I'm using it as just kind of a springboard to give me some ideas and help me visualize maybe proportions and relationships between items that I don't tend to think of on my own. Not being as much of a graphical artist. So I'm using it as a tool to help me learn how to design things a little bit better. But this is one of those projects where I've got a couple of different pieces of AI art that I'm looking at just to give me a little bit of inspiration and see how we can go here. We'll cover that a little bit more once it gets further along. And then over here, these are the warehouses for the dock. And you notice a lot of, again, a lot of the local materials. We've got some sandstone, some stone brick, some diorite. We've actually got a little bit of a drop there. We've got a little bit of copper up there, and then some deep slate bricks. And again, I took a look at some AI generated artwork for dockside warehouses, and I took a few pieces from one, a few pieces from another, and tried to put it all together into something that worked in this space. And overall, I am, again, I'm really happy with how this turned out. Exercising my creativity in that way is still something kind of new to me, something that it's taking me a little while to really develop. And so getting a little bit of a kickstart, a little bit of an assist on the overall idea, the framework, the general shape that I want to go for is great. And then I'm coming in and I'm able to give it the detail and the personality that I want to give it. So we'll do a quick walkthrough here. We have kind of the pedestrian entrance here that goes around to either direction. On the dock side of things, though, this is where we would have the actual cargo being hauled in, where we'd have wagons or dock hands hauling things in. So, being a multi-floor warehouse, you notice we've got a little bit of a lift here. We've got plenty of storage. I don't know how many trees I had to cut down on this island. This isn't technically an island, but close enough in this area, just to make the storage for the warehouses. I may single-handedly be responsible for some climate change in this part of the Minecraft world. So this warehouse right here is the warehouse that I'm using for stones and minerals, that sort of thing. Kind of the non-organics. And so you see we've got diamond and redstone, and we've got iron and copper. We've got some obsidian, deep slate over here, kind of the more common overworld stones. And so I've got plenty of room to store things here. In the corner, we've got a little spiral staircase that'll lead us up to the second level. And you see we've got more storage up here, and really about the only thing I've got in here so far is some soul sand. We've got our lift that is halfway up, and the chain is being run through a couple of pulleys over to this large winch. And then up here we have another bumblebee that got trapped. Now, there were no bumblebees in here when I closed this section in, so I'm really not sure how he manages to keep getting in here. He's a little Houdini. But we've got a nice large area up here. It's not really going to be conducive to much storage just because you have to climb up the ladder to get here. But I'm thinking this could very easily be turned into maybe servants' quarters, a place where they can live and cook when they're not working, or not even really a servant quarters, but maybe where, the sailors who don't want to stay on board ship or can't afford to stay in a tavern can just come up here and get a cheap room in the warehouse. So yeah, we've got our lift here, and then we've got the area that the lift will settle down into to make for a nice smooth roll onto it with any goods. And over here, this is the building where I'm putting my more of my organics. The trees, eventually the crops, and meats, possibly, if we wind up with a lot of meat or like leather, that sort of thing. And of course, I tried to make these kind of a mirror image to one another while still maintaining a little bit of uniqueness to each building. We've got the lift down here on the ground floor, and we come upstairs. And there we've got our apples and carrots. And again, we've got the same sort of winch setup. And upstairs is, again, another attic space. And we've got this nice little bridge here so that we can easily get between the two upper levels if we need to. We will jump down here. You know what? We are going to sleep real quick, so we're not doing this in the dark because I do not have this area. It's not quite late enough to sleep. I do not have this area walled in yet. And I haven't decided if I'm going to wall in the entire city or not. I've kind of enjoyed working with a wall around the village, and I've laid out a line here that I can, where I could set up a wall if I wanted to. I just haven't decided if that's the direction I'm going to go. Now, I have set up a small wheat farm over here. I have a little bit of plan to pull over a couple of villagers and get them working in there. We've got a beacon, and that's with increased mining speed right now, because I did have to do a fair bit of terraforming over here. And in fact, let me show you. We're going to fly over here, and I'll show you that right here is kind of the natural ground level. I flattened everything above there in order to put the warehouses up. But in addition to this, I had to terraform a bit over here as well. And we've got a zombie who thinks he wants to come visit. There we go. So you can see that this goes down quite a ways. And in fact, the water from the harbor had been pouring in kind of over in this area, a little bit in this area, which is why we've got some straight walls here. I wanted to be able to use this as kind of a mine. It's where I come to get a lot of my building materials right now. It's convenient to the areas I'm building, and with the beacon up top, if I get over here just a little further, I get that bonus, which makes mining just go so much more quickly. But yeah, I had to do a fair bit of terraforming over here before I had the kind of the level ground surface that I wanted in order to get the docks and the warehouse district going. That doesn't mean I'm going to terraform this entire area. I am going to leave some variety in the land here. Kind of like we've got right here. But the other thing you can see up here is kind of the rough layout that I've done. The village that most of my videos have been about up till now kind of grew up organically. I would set a building down, kind of eyeball where I thought I wanted the next one to go, and just keep adding a building here, a building there, pushing out the city walls, the village walls as I needed to accommodate more construction. I wanted to start this one with a little bit more of a, I don't know, of a plan. So you can see I've laid out some roads, some plots for building. And of course, being near the docks, this will probably be, we'll probably have a market over here somewhere. We'll have kind of the low rent housing a little bit. If we come over here, you can see a bit of what the terrain originally looked like before I started clear cutting everything. And we've got another one of these areas where the water just drops in. And this one I may actually leave the way it is. I don't know that I want to terraform across that. I kind of like it as long as I put in some protection to make sure that any villagers that I bring over don't just walk right off the edge. But we've got a lot of birch trees, we got a lot of oak trees here. We have a small place here that I did wall in a bit. I had tried making a kind of a monster spawner here. A very small scale one where you've got a couple of levels up top that are completely enclosed and dark. And they have water pushing down towards the central column. It works, but it works really slowly. It does not spawn quickly at all. Part of that is probably due to the fact that this is on top of some caves. And we don't need to go all the way down there. But we go down a little ways, and there are some caves that are probably the preferred place for mobs to spawn in. But it was an experiment. It was one that didn't quite work out the way I wanted to. But if we come up top, and you can see I've got another portal there. And we'll wait for the lag to catch up. This is where I built the spawner. So we've got this nice kind of pit here that goes down inside this this stony outcropping. And I have some ideas. If I tear that out, you know, it'll go all the way down to where that bed was. And I have some ideas of something we could do with that. That's kind of lower on my list. But the last thing that I do kind of want to show, as I was exploring the caves underneath this this land, I found a couple of things that I marked the coordinates on, and then I came up here and dropped some kind of unique blocks, some things that would stand out to me, so that I would remember to go down and explore some more. Now this one was, again, an experiment that I made. And had trouble getting it right. It is a long climb down here. And then this is our little bit of a break before we finish the climb down. But I found, within really close proximity, about 3 different zombie spawners down here. Now, the one of them is off this direction and a little bit higher altitude. One of them is just on the other side of this cobblestone. And I don't know if you can hear the water, but right through here, we have a water channel that, though, you know, the water under the spawner, and I just don't know if there's a good way to show this without causing trouble. Let me see what we've got over here. So, we've got the spawner in here. We've got a water source block in that far corner that then pushes the any zombie that spawns down here where these blocks, oh, there goes one right there. So it pushes them down into this corner. From this corner, they go a couple of blocks in, and then I think it's right about here, there is a bubble column. Excuse me, I want to seal this back up so that we don't impact the spawning rates. There's a bubble column that goes up. It goes up about 20 blocks or so. It goes over a couple of blocks, and then it drops the zombies back down so that I can sit here and get experience and generally repair my mending items. So I've got 3 of these spawners that are all within really close proximity to one another. This is the only one that I have that I've actually completed the farm on, because at the moment I'm the only one really kind of hanging out in this part of the world. I may get those others up and running here before too long, just so that if my kids or if my wife are over here, they've got a place where uh, they can go to repair mending as well. We don't all have to just kind of stand in a line and wait for this one to be available. It is a little bit of a climb down, but I didn't want to have it very visible above ground. I want to be able to put a building here, have villagers living up here, and still have access to that. Now the way the bubble column works and all that, I mentioned that it was an experiment that I was having trouble with, and I just was kind of giving it my best shot, and it didn't work right away, and so I shelved it and went back to building, working on the warehouses and the docks until I was watching one of Impulse SV's newest videos. The Hermitcraft Season 10 has started, and so all the hermits have been really busy pumping out videos the last week or two. And in one of Impulse's videos, he showed how he built a similar mob farm uh, based off of a spawner like that, and gave me just the little couple of tips and tricks that I needed to make the water flow work right. And so that day I was able to go back down, adjust how the water patterns worked, and everything worked perfectly. If you have not heard of Impulse, if you haven't watched his videos before, the man is an amazing redstoner, an amazing builder. He seems to pretty much do it all, and he explains a lot of stuff really well. Also, if you get a chance, go over and take a look at some of his videos. Every time I watch his videos or any of the other hermits, really, especially like B-Dubs or Scar or Gemini Tay, um, I'm just learning something every time I watch them. These are really some of the biggest builds that I have done, that I've relied a lot on just the things that I've been learning so far. You may have noticed in previous videos, a lot of the buildings that are over in the walled-in village way to our north were based off of tutorials that I watched from various Minecrafters. Um, this whole area here, I'm not wanting to do any tutorials. I'm not wanting to do things that other people have built. I want to stretch those creative muscles like we've talked about before. I want to be able to get some ideas, and maybe look around at what other creators have done, look at what artists have come up with in this style, but then to come in and just use those as a springboard of ideas to build my own things. And I'm really happy with the progress I've been making. These are not, I know these are not world-class builds. These are not things that are going to win any prizes anywhere. But I can definitely see the progress that I've been making. I can see the things that I've been learning about how to add details to buildings, and how to how to envision the projects that I want to put in this world. So this is my next big project, is to get this city built up so that the folks in my little village across the ocean will have some people to trade with. And we're going to have ships out in the ocean going back and forth. We're going to maybe even set up some shipping lanes with buoys to steer clear of some ocean monuments that are nearby. And I just think this is a really fun start to a whole new project in this world. I hope that you've enjoyed seeing what I've been working on. I hope maybe this gives you some ideas of things to try yourselves. shoot, maybe this will just give you some ideas of things you want to see me do. Drop a comment down below if you have questions, if you have suggestions, if you see something you think I could have done better, let me know. And I'm always happy to learn new techniques and new processes to incorporate into my projects. So thank you all for coming along with me on this tour and to look at the new builds that we've got. I really hope you've enjoyed it all, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.